Welcome into this week's therapy session sponsored by BetterHelp. We don't have a BetterHelp sponsorship, but welcome to the group therapy session. Therapists of the round table. We are here breaking down the Eagles' remarkable 3-game skid, losing last night, a heartbreaker to the Seattle Seahawks on the road. We're going to get into that, what went down. We're going to talk about the Eagles' upcoming matchup with the New York Giants. But before we do that, let's introduce the crew. I'm, of course, Shane. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at ShaneHalfNFL. Also joined by Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing this evening?
Literally, mentally, physically, physiologically drained, depressed. I haven't been hit by this kind of an Eagles loss in quite some time. I'm defeated, man. This was the worst day of work after an Eagles loss in quite some time. Even after that Niners loss, even after that Cowboys loss, we're going to be calling out a lot of players tonight. Sometimes I think we might have been going overboard on the personnel with the Philadelphia Eagles. The players, the execution get called out tonight, and it was an embarrassment. It was a pathetic performance, and we're going to break it all down. I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting all over.
All right. Yep. Also joined by Ryan Reese. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing?
Well, as good as we all are doing, right? I mean, we're all a little upset. We're all a little hurting. We're all, I think, the last of us that wanted to hold on hope that this was just kind of a 2-game against really, two, great opponents. And I think the last of us have finally jumped off that train, and now we're sitting on the sidelines realizing what this team is, and we're going to talk about it tonight. That's for sure. So it's not going to be pretty. That's for certain.
All right. And we are notably missing David. David was downgraded to questionable for tonight's podcast with an illness. He is going to be podcasting separately from our team, so none of us get sick. So, which we should have just been like, oh, you're sick, you just do this all yourself then. I think that was kind of the Eagles' plan last night. So
13 runs for you. Here's 82 yards.
Yeah. You host. You're sick. You host the podcast, David. But hopefully David's feeling better back in the game next week. We got to get him hosting a show. He did tell us that if the Eagles won, he would host the show, and then they lost and he mysteriously got sick. You can take that for what it's worth if you want the conspiracy theories. But see a lot of viewers here tonight. You guys drop your comments over here on the side. We love to interact with you. It's not group therapy if the group doesn't talk, so we don't want to just talk into the void. So drop your comments. Let us know what you guys are thinking as well. So I'm going to start it off this way. Scale of 1 to 10. Ryan, 10's the worst. Where's your panic meter about the Eagles right now?
I'd say 6. And it may seem a little low. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic than your average. I still do believe there is a decent football team somewhere in here. And we have seen it at times, maybe not consistently, maybe not put together in a fancy little bow. It may be gritty, it may be ugly, but it's there. It is there. But unfortunately, the deficiencies of this team are showing, and they are bleeding from all orifices right now, and it's not great. And they have 3 weeks until the playoffs to figure out what their main issues are and how to fix them. So right now I'm at a 6, but I feel like I'm a little bit more optimistic than you two probably will be.
All right, Dive, same question to you. 1 to 10, where's your panic meter at right now?
I'm going to go 9, as in the sky is falling. And I think that's being generous. It does not matter what the Eagles do these next 3 weeks. It does not matter. You're looking at a quarterback, and by no means is Jalen Hurts the biggest problem of this football team, but he has regressed in many different areas, and we'll talk about that when we talk about takeaways from this Seattle game. You look at the personnel, you look at the execution, you look at the play calling, you look at the holes on this defense, you look at the deficiencies on this defense. It is what it is. And you take Jalen Hurts' legs away from him, and you look at his game management and going through progressions and game management. He's regressed. And what you're looking at is a bottom of the league defense. What you're looking at is a below average offense. And I know they clinched a playoff seed, but it's there. At some point you have to call a spade a spade. This is not a good football team. They continue to shoot themselves in the foot. And I don't think it matters what they do against the Giants, as we talk about here tonight. I don't think it matters what they do against the Cardinals or the next Giants game. This team has real problems, and we have to call them out on it.
Yep. Absolutely. We got Patrick chiming in on Facebook, says, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Patrick? Welcome to the show." Everybody else, drop us some comments. Let us know, scale of 1 to 10, where you're at in terms of panicking on this team. For me, what I'm hoping for right now is the 2021 Rams. I think I keep an eye to the more of the NFL as a whole than either of you guys do, but the Rams in 2021, I remember coming on Chalk Talk and talking about as their season was winding down. They went on a 3-game losing streak. Now, granted, it was in November, not December, but they dropped 3 in a row in November. They dropped a Week 18 game to San Francisco. In the final 3 games of that season, I remember Matthew Stafford threw 7 interceptions in the final 3 games of the season, and they won 2 of those 3, but 3-game skid. Matthew Stafford was turning the ball over like crazy, and I remember coming on Chalk Talk heading into the playoffs and saying, I just don't think the Rams can pull it off. Like, Stafford is playing too poorly right now. The offense isn't clicking. I just don't think it's their year. And they won the Super Bowl. And it took some luck to get there. I mean, we all remember that Jaquiski Tartt dropped arm punt in the NFC title game. And so teams can go on a run. And so, if you're sitting here reeling, you can cling to crazy things have happened. The 2017 Eagles, you would have written them off. The 2021 Rams, I pretty well wrote them off. You want to go back even further to the Giants year that they were a wild card and they knocked off the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. Like, crazier things have happened. But I'm where Dibes is at. Like, nothing they can do the final 3 weeks is going to make me believe that, because you don't have a good team to go prove yourself against. But there is a lot to be said for winning, curing all, and for getting that momentum back. And that's certainly something the Eagles can do over the final 3 weeks of the season. So I'm probably about an 8 on the panic meter. Like, the sky's not falling, but there's real ominous storm clouds and maybe a tornado starting to spiral down. But hey, in Oklahoma, when that happens, we run outside with the video camera. We don't take cover. So that's what we're doing tonight. I'm sitting in front of the video camera and we can talk about the tornado is kind of where I'm at. So go to a couple more comments here. Patrick says, in 3 losses after reaching 10 wins, we're talking about poor quarterback play, questioning the head coach, begging the front office to fire both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. It's crazy. Yeah, a lot of big reactions. Crabby Old Man on YouTube, one of the best names that we have in chat routinely, says, I love this team and the organization. They play their hearts out. They conduct themselves well off the field. They make music. Don't forget it's December and we still have meaningful football and Christmas albums.
Wow.
So yeah, let's dive into it. I just wanted to open us up with gauging the panic meter. So Ryan, I'm going to throw it to you here. What was your biggest takeaway from the Eagles' loss to the Seahawks?
I mean, man, that's a loaded question. I feel like there's a lot that one could take away from this. The simple fact of the matter is, the defense seemed to be slightly better. And listen, when you look at this team and you look at this team from last year, Howie, again, I think could only do so much, and he built this team to have a team that was playing with the lead. And that's how your kind of defense was structured, is playing with a lead almost. And that's why you could be a little light in the linebacker in the safety position, and you could afford to have aging corners, and it's not going to kill you. But when you're in games and you need them to actually step up and make plays and keep your team in it, not just keep them from scoring buckets, it's a little different. So I will say hats off to the defense. I thought they did play better. Obviously, second half and that end drive, certainly not. But I think a lot of that also was maybe defense positioning. But the offense, it's the offense. It's Hurts, it's Brian Johnson, it's Sirianni. It's the three of them. They seem to be not only on different pages, but they seem to be reading different books. And it just doesn't seem like one is playing into the other's strengths and vice versa. And it just seems like they just want to do their own thing. And I'm not sure why Jalen Hurts is completely missing easy reads. I'm sure we could go back and check tape and realize there was probably 5, 6, 7, 8 times where there was an easy play to be made. But Hurts had to kind of make play. And it was obvious that he was just forcing the ball to AJ Brown. And yeah, this offense just seems completely out of whack. I mean, you have your defense hold a team to 20 points, which doesn't seem like they've done in forever. And you haven't scored over 20 points in the last couple of games. So I think it's the offense, and it's no one person. It's all three of them. It's Hurts, it's Brian Johnson, and it's Sirianni, because he is an offensive coach, and he is who is leading this offense. He's got to do a better job of putting both of these guys in a better position to help each other, and they just aren't. They're just completely reading the same, a different book. Hell, they're not even reading books. One's reading a book, one's watching TV, one's in the backyard staring at the grass. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's gonna play. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of talk here about the play calling issues and everything that's going on. Dibes, where are you at? What was your biggest takeaway from the game?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Ryan, and this, by the way, if you don't know who I am, this is coming from someone who's pretty defeated when it comes to this Eagles defense. It's all on the offense. That's the take. Jalen Hurts was awful. 143 passing yards against the NFL's 26th ranked pass defense. In the second half, 8 of 14, 64 yards, and 2 interceptions. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass longer than 18 yards. He had 2 picks last night. The last one was by former Giant Julian Love, which we'll be talking about in just a little bit. But you look at Hurts, man, he's up to 17 turnovers this season, tied for most in the NFL. He had 8 last year. That Hurts ball to AJ Brown, it was so underthrown. The Eagles had 2 timeouts in that situation. They had 15 yards to go to get a game-tying field goal by Jake Elliott. And then if you go back and look at that play, I think it was Kenny Gainwell who was wide open in that situation, who could have easily had 15 to 20 yards there. And then when you watch the throw to Quez Watkins, just as dumb as it freaking gets, man, especially when the Eagles were moving the ball pretty well on the ground at that time and getting yardage. Again, Jalen Hurts is not the problem, but you cannot deny that Hurts's decision-making has regressed this season. The explosiveness in his running is gone. It's not making defenses honest like it did last season. Too many times do we see Jalen Hurts go for the home run ball in inopportune times in big situations instead of taking what the defense gives him. I think, dude, I hate to make this about Jalen Hurts because I freaking love the dude, but the first step in solving a problem is recognizing, admitting there is one. And Jalen Hurts has regressed, and he's been consistently outplayed by opposing quarterbacks this season. Again, he's not the biggest issue on this team, but the situational football on this Eagles team is straight up dog shit, and it's been all season long. This Eagles offense has a major identity crisis. There needs to be a come to Jesus moment with the Eagles personnel, whether that's getting a new quarterback coach and putting Jalen Hurts in better positions to succeed. But this team has major problems, and I hate to be that guy tonight. Maybe it's because I'm not feeling well, but I'm going to call it as it is. Jalen Hurts has regressed, and as the makeup of the defense as it currently stands, Jalen Hurts has to be the MVP guy, and he is far from it.
Yeah, people have been debating all day. Is it the play calling? Is it the quarterback? The truth of the matter is it's both. You have A.J. Brown. You have the 3rd and 8 where Jalen Hurts throws the deep ball to A.J. Brown and throws it out of bounds. And it was a bad throw. A.J. Brown comes out and says on Twitter that he was the primary read on that play. He's the primary read, and it's one-on-one. Hurts is going to take the throw. That's what he's being coached to do. That's bad situational football. 3rd and 8's not the time to take a shot downfield. Go get a first down. And so there's play calling things at work, but there's also an opening drive that was just fantastic. Running back swing passes with lead blockers. Like, they went that entire opening drive. They had one pass attempt over 8 air yards, and they moved the ball right down the field and scored. They're capable of scheming that stuff up, but then they get overly big play reliant. And is that quarterback? Is that coaching? It's a mix of both. There's times that Jalen Hurts is taking the big shots because that's what he's being coached to do. There's also instances of him just missing reads. Like, it's both and. To me, I don't think, and I've said this for several weeks, I don't think that Brian Johnson has done a bad job as a first-year coordinator in terms of schematic things. But Jalen Hurts looks broken. And if that mesh is not right, you're not changing the quarterback. And so if that necessitates a changed offensive coordinator, then that's what you have to do. And you're obviously not going to do that mid-season. But there needs to be a different voice in the room, whether that be a different quarterback coach, whether that be, a new play caller. And you have to figure out too, like, how does Sirianni factor into this? It's his offense. Like, you see Shane Steichen leave Philadelphia, where they were like 31st in motion rate, and go to Indianapolis, where they're like top 10 or 12. I don't remember the exact number in motion rate. That's clearly a Sirianni thing, that we're not using motion because the coordinator just left and he took a ton of motion with him that he didn't have. And so there's Sirianni things that play into that. And why does the last 3 weeks, all 3 losses, the opening drives, the scripted plays have looked great? Is that Sirianni having heavy input in the scripting of the plays? And once you're off that script, it's Brian Johnson falling into predictable tendencies? Or is it Brian Johnson having great scripting and he just doesn't have a feel for calling the game in the moment once you're off the script? I don't know. Those are the things that the Eagles got to self-scout and figure out that we can only guess at. You're muted, Dibes.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Did you see that video of Christian McCaffrey literally predicting the Eagles play? It's on Twitter.
Yeah, he was on the Cannon cast, and it was
just like throwing a salt on the wound. We've been calling it out on this show for weeks and weeks about the lack of creativity and the predictability of this offense, man. That was like driving a knife and twisting it, man, this morning.
I will say, in all fairness on that one, the only reason you ever have your tight end backed off the line like that is to kick out block on a defensive end. And you're clearly setting that up to either be a bubble or a QB draw, depending on the box count. And he's got the benefit of sitting here from a broadcast angle and saying, well, this is what the numbers say. So, I mean, that's a little bit of one of those things that you're going to do one of two things and he can tell. And so, but yeah, I mean, points taken, that there's a little bit too much predictability here. Let's go to a few comments. James on Twitter says, everything you could hang your hat on is in question. What are they good at right now? They've got a great field goal kicker.
Oh, man.
Just
Special
saying.
Teams is on fire.
Their punter is probably one of the best punters we've seen in Eagles uniform quite some time.
Who thought we'd be sitting here
Yeah.
in December of 2022? Who thought we'd be sitting here in December of 2023 talking about how great the special teams is?
Do you remember in the preseason when we were all calling for Sipos's head, and like that was like the punter was like our like second or third like biggest concern heading into this season. Man, but we didn't know what was coming, did we?
Yeah,
it's the tush push, and that's about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're great at the tush push when the NFL's not making up flags for it.
Yeah, right.
Don't get me started.
Bo on Facebook says they've turned into a giant dumpster fire. Look horrible on all fronts. The season is over. Prove me wrong. I would love for the Eagles to prove us wrong. Yeah. So many people are hooked on that 10-1 start. Let's not forget how bad they actually looked in most of those wins. That record is nowhere near their quality of play, and now they're in tailspin. They will lose against the Giants next week. Ouch. Patrick on Facebook says Hurts isn't looking himself all year. Bad yards, bad decisions. There's certainly been questionable decision making. Chris says the question is, has Nick lost the locker room? I love Sirianni, but if he's lost the locker room, it's time for him to go. I really don't think. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I mean, guys are still playing. There is frustrations, but don't confuse frustrations with losing a locker room. Losing a locker room it's different. You know it when you see it, and you see it when guys stop playing hard, and you see it when it's more than frustrations. It becomes more scapegoating when players are talking and things, and that we're not seeing that. So I don't think that's on the table right now, personally.
Yeah, we've seen that here in Philadelphia. So let's maybe look back at the old McNabb T.O. Time period where the entire locker room was literally split down the middle. And yeah, that was not pretty, and hence we all know what happened after the fact. But yeah, I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're gonna be there. I still think the culture in this locker room is still amazing. It's just that losing isn't fun, and losing the way that we're losing is not fun. Get a couple of wins under the belt, and man, I guarantee you everybody's gonna be singing Christmas songs with Jordan Mailata soon. So
yeah,
not me.
All right. Well, we talked a lot about the offense. Let's talk a little bit about the defense, and then we'll move on. I will say, actually, I take that back. I want to throw out one more thing about the offense. I put this out on Twitter today, but this season, the Eagles have had 13 chances to run the clock out with a lead in the fourth quarter. They've successfully done it twice, which is 15%. After taking a lead in this game, they had 4 possessions, and they went punt, interception, to end the game. Now, not all of those are in that 13 chances because they weren't all in the fourth quarter, but they had the ball up 4 with 10 minutes left, and they threw an interception. By the way, I literally tweeted the play before the interception. The Eagles offense looks at its best when it's moving methodically, and literally 10 seconds later, they took a shot to Quez Watkins that got intercepted. But then they had the ball again up 4 with 6.5 minutes left, and they punted. It's just the offense can't run out the clock this year. They just can't. And so I wanted to point that out on the offensive side. But on the defensive side of the ball, I thought generally the defense looked okay. Now, granted, it's Drew Lock and a backup quarterback, and you did still give up 20 points. But this was the first time I saw Sidney Brown missing a lot of tackles, which is something I noted about him in my scouting report pre-draft that I was surprised we hadn't seen pop up before. And Kenneth Walker is a really good runner. Like, I'll make that clear. But there was a lot of missed tackles in this game. I've seen a lot of Sidney Brown slander. I appreciate that Sidney Brown's always around the ball. He needs to wrap up better in some of those instances, but I like that he plays with his hair on fire in that way. But the missed tackling, that was an issue in the 49er game. It was an issue here, but the bigger issue is that the defensive line's just not impactful. You've invested back-to-back. Actually, you've invested 3 first-round picks in the last 2 years on the defensive line. You signed Hassan Reddick. You extended Josh Sweat. You brought Brandon Graham back. You're paying Fletcher Cox big money. They sacked Drew Lock, a backup quarterback again, 2 times on 35 dropbacks. And the whole thing has been, you earn the right to rush the passer. They've talked about that for years. That final drive, Seattle has one timeout because they bungled clock management, and they dropped back to pass 10 straight plays, and you knew every one of them was going to be a pass. They had 0 sacks. They had 1 pressure, and it was on the first drop back on the drive. The defensive line is just not impactful. And for the way the roster is constructed, the defensive line has to be impactful. And so if we want to talk optimism, I think they can do that. Like, I think they can get back to that point. And I think it starts with a rotation. It starts with guys lessening their snap counts these last 3 weeks, because I do think that you can get your defensive line to be that level of impactful again, to help the defense out in the playoffs. I think that if the offense will just stop shooting themselves in the foot, they have the horses. They can put up points, and you could be a punchy team in the playoffs, but I think that's where it all starts. And so that was my biggest thing on the defense. The defensive line's just not making an impact anymore.
That's the take. That's absolutely 1,000% the take is, I know, like, in my opinion, this defense goes as Jalen Carter goes. The Eagles need to find a better way to get him more active into that backfield. But the back seven is just atrocious. It is atrocious. We all saw it coming. James Bradbury, we all, I don't even know how much there is or what's left there is to say about James Bradbury and his regression. He just got carved up, 7 receptions on 8 targets, 116 yards, a touchdown, 118.8 quarterback rating when targeted. He's allowed a 90.5 pass rating coverage this year, giving up 9 touchdowns and only 1 interception. But it's the defensive line. The Eagles are not getting home. We know that, and we have seen it over and over and over again how much that in this defense helps out this Eagles secondary. And shout out to Keely Ringo, shout out to Eli Ricks, who did the best they can. But this defense is broken. The discussion with Howie Roseman and where he values different positions needs to be looked at this offseason. It's not going to be within the next month or two, but there definitely needs to be a discussion about that moving forward. So for me, the Eagles defensive line, teams being able to, having the blueprint to negate this Eagles defensive line is everything. And it's really a shame. I don't know how the Eagles fix this. I really don't.
I would love to see them stop playing James Bradbury, or at least put him in the slot. Or at least put him in the slot. You could put him in the slot. You can rotate him with Roby, or you can just play him as your slot guy. He's clearly lost a step, and it's something I've said for a few weeks now. He just doesn't have the athleticism. And so why are you leaving him on an island from the 29-yard line with 33 seconds left? I don't know. But he doesn't thrive in man coverage. It's always been zone coverage. He doesn't have that athleticism anymore. I would like to see them bump him into the slot, play Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks outside. Whichever one of them plays better the next 3 games is your starting outside cornerback opposite Darius Slay. And James Bradbury can be your slot, or Avonte Maddox if he comes back. But, I mean, at this point, there's no purpose to continue playing Bradbury out there. He's toast, and you might as well get a look at the young guys. And, same thing. Get Nolan Smith a lot of snaps the last 3 weeks. Rest up these other guys. Play Sidney Brown a heck of a lot in big nickel and big dime. Like, I want to see a youth movement on the defense. The Eagles have to start getting things out of their draft picks before their second and third year. Like that, look at the Chiefs defense, and they got Steve Spagnuolo, but they started so many rookies last year, and now they've got a top 5 defense, and it's because they got those guys reps last year. Oh, and they won a Super Bowl too. And now that defense is really coming into its own. So that's what I would like to see from the defense over the last 3 weeks of the year.
Yeah, no, you guys are absolutely right. It starts up front. That has always been our bread and butter. And last year, obviously, it was with 70 sacks. But and again, and to Shane's point, last year we were playing with big leads. We knew teams were going to be dropping back and passing, and that's why we were able to have so much success. And obviously, that's not happening this year. But even when it did, as we saw, yesterday, they weren't getting home. So there's something needs to give. And you're right. We need to see more Nolan Smith. He needs to be more into the rotation. But yeah, as far as the back end goes, yeah, Ricks and Ringo, I thought played great. They have I think a combined 5 targets, and they didn't give up a reception. And I thought they were, they did great. I mean, again, you play them, get them more experience, and you're not going to just not play Bradbury. Unfortunately, it's just not a thing. I don't think you're just going to pay that guy all that money and then just sit him, even about no matter how bad he sucks. But I'd like to see a little less of him. That's for sure. I mean, if we're hoping for the playoffs that we will have Slay back, and a very good opportunity that we probably will have Avonte Maddox back. They have already opened up his window, so that if he's gonna be back on this team, it's gonna happen before the playoffs. So, adding those two along with some of the young guys, yeah, I think could be something that could, hold this defense together enough to maybe sneak some wins, and that's honestly, I think, has to be your only hope at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. You're muted again, Dibes.
7th worst in defensive takeaways this year.
Yep. All right. Well, now that that's all out of the way, let's take a deep breath and let's pivot to talk about this Giants game that has, let's be honest, it has the ability to make or ruin Christmas for everybody, right? Thank you, NFL, putting it on Christmas. I hate that this game is on Christmas because I would really love to watch that Ravens 49ers game on Christmas night. I'm pretty sure I can't get away with going back-to-back games on Christmas Day, though. So thank you, NFL, for putting Eagles Giants on Christmas. You guys drop your comments down here. Let us know what matchups you're looking for in the Eagles Giants game. Give us your predictions for the game. But Ryan, I'll throw it to you here first. Give me, what's your matchup to watch? Eagles versus Giants.
My matchup is honestly the offense versus themselves. Seriously, like, you have been piss poor for a month, essentially. And, you absolutely need to figure this out in some way. Go with what works. Go with what's easy and simple. You don't have to have, confusing reads or tough. Just, my Lord, just look for the easy things. And, Shane, you said it earlier. They are much better when they just move the ball methodically down the field, bit by bit by bit. They don't need to make the huge play. That's clearly not this team this year. It may have been last year, but it's not this year. It's not happening. So let's, and again, I like the fact that, Swift was running well yesterday, and Gainwell, as much as I hate him, was actually doing pretty good running the ball. Utilize that. And again, slow, short passes, slants, curls, whatever works, whatever's easiest, whatever you do the best, just utilize it and go from there. But yeah, the offense is something that they gotta go against themselves, because this, like I said earlier, the Sirianni, Brian Johnson, and Jalen Hurts trio need to absolutely get into a room and figure out what the hell's going on, and listen, simplify the shit out of it and go from there. And just do your jam. You have the skill players. Just use them. Use them, please. So, yeah, I'm looking at the offense, and hopefully they get out of their own damn way.
All right, the offense against itself for Ryan. Dibes, what's your matchup to watch in this one?
It's Matt Patricia versus the Giants' lack of offense. I mean, that's this Giants offense is god awful. You look at last week, the offensive line allowed 7 sacks, 9 quarterback hits against the New Orleans Saints. There were drops. Saquon Barkley had 9 carries for 14 yards. The Giants averaged 3.2 yards per play. They went 2 of 16 on third down. This Giants offense has the third worst passing DVOA in the NFL, and their rushing attack is even worse, second worst in rushing DVOA. I'm looking at the Eagles pass rush. We kind of already touched on a lot of that, but through 14 games, the Giants have given up a franchise record 76 sacks. New York quarterbacks have been sacked at least 7 times in 6 games this year. They are the third most sacked team in NFL history. If there was a game for this Eagles pass rush to get on the right track, it is this. As a caveat, we've said this against the Seahawks offensive line, which was not good as well. We've said this repeatedly, and the Eagles have fell short. So for me, it's got to be Matt Patricia and this defense figuring it out. There's so much to unpack. But I'm looking at the Eagles pass rush against a horrible Giants offensive line. I think his name's Justin Pugh, one of the worst guards in the NFL. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I was going to talk D-line against the Giants offensive line, which is just not a good offensive line. But I'm just going to stick with the offense because that's what's most important to me. Like, this team will go as the offense takes it. And Ryan's exactly right. It's the offense getting out of its own way. Like, don't come out and execute a great opening drive again and then get shot happy. And the Giants are going to blitz. Wink Martindale's going to send blitzers at you. So you're going to it's going to probably be a lower time to throw game. You're going to have to get the ball out. And maybe that's good. Like, maybe facing that blitz happy approach will force the Eagles to get the ball out quick. Now, we've seen it go the other way where it just becomes scramble, try to run away, or throw, wide receiver screens. And I hope that's not the approach, but maybe facing a defense that's going to send pressure at you will just force you to play underneath ball. And I think that could be one of the best things for this offense. They need to get back in a rhythm, stop hunting big plays, get back in a rhythm. And maybe, a heavy man cover, heavy blitz game is a way that you can do that, in a way you can get your wide receivers going again. And so that's my hope for this game. That's what I'm going to be watching, is how the Eagles deal with that pressure. And if the offense can just come put on a dominant performance, because they should be able to dominate this team. And, if they don't, well, then we do a whole different show next week. And we're probably not talking about how to fix the Eagles this season anymore. We're probably doing draft profiles. But
can we talk about Tommy Cutlets?
Hey.
Lay it on me, Dibes.
I mean, look at the Washington game, like in Sam Howell. The dude carved up the Eagles defense. Tommy DeVito, now 3-1 since taking over under center for the Giants. He got hit a lot against the Saints. He held on to the ball too much against the Saints. But the Eagles have made, not great quarterbacks look really, really good. So Tommy DeVito is one to watch out for.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right. I'm going to go to some comments real quick. William says it should be the Eagles 31-13. Somehow it will be Eagles 27, Giants 23. Rob says, take what the defense gives you and stop trying to force nonsense. Hurts doesn't need to be a hero. William says, can we be honest and say Hurts is holding back the passing game? Yeah, we talked about that some. It's a group effort, but it comes down to Hurts and play calling, and that's difficult to parse out at times. No excuse why they shouldn't beat the Giants. Where are the drag routes, comeback, slant, same side toss, RPO, and Goddard over the middle? And then we've got the same comment coming in on YouTube. I'm going to assume maybe that's the same person. Research, I don't know. Research guy on Twitter, Eagles guru on YouTube, maybe the same.
Maybe.
Or maybe somebody's watching on Twitter and they're like, oh, they're not seeing this Twitter content. I'm going to take it. I don't know. It could go either way. I'm going to think this is the same account, though. Putting that detective where this is post-snap recognition right here, guys. Recognizing it, making the audible on the fly. All right. Let's throw it around the horn here. We'll give our player of the game predictions, our score predictions, and we will get out of here. Dives, I'll throw it to you first. Player of the game prediction. Give me your score prediction. What's going to happen on Monday?
It's got to be Jalen Hurts. It's that simple. It's got to be Jalen Hurts.
Same guy, guilty as charged. All right, we got him. Research guy and Eagles guru. Same guy. I love it.
It's got to be Jalen Hurts playing better, making better reads, getting the ball, taking what the defense gives him. Easy pick. For score prediction, you look at the Eagles against the Niners. That was the Niners Super Bowl. That was their big game of the year. You look at the Eagles in Dallas with their backs against the wall, got blown out. A gutless performance. You look at the Eagles going to Seattle in a must-win game, in my opinion, and the Eagles were spineless yet again. And now we're getting to a Giants team. This is probably their Super Bowl. They're definitely, I think, 6 in the tankathon race to get a good draft pick. But I know for a fact that nothing would make the Giants more happy than to continue to spoil the Eagles' playoff chances. So just like we've seen against Washington, I think this is going to be a close game. Nothing about the Eagles' offense makes me confident that they're going to right the ship at this point. What could you, other than the tush push, like there's nothing about this Eagles offense that, yes, that's going to happen on Monday night on Christmas against the Giants. I did predict a Seahawks win last week. I do think the Eagles win this one, but I think it's going to be close. Give me Eagles 27, Giants 24.
Eagles 27, Giants 24. Ryan, you're up. Who do you have for player of the game and score prediction, please?
Do I have to pick somebody? Honestly.
Did I pick? Yeah, I picked Jalen Hurts. Sorry.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I mean that's a good one. I mean, if they want, he needs to turn this crap around. So you're right. That was a great choice, and you're probably going to win. But since I don't have him, I'm gonna keep shoving Swift down everybody's throat until he actually does something again, or they give him enough carries that he actually can do something. Listen, I think. I was hoping leading into this game, as we talked on pregame, that, with Hurts being sick, man, we really should have relied a little bit more on the running game. And while they did more than, I guess, they're normal, Jalen still ran the ball quite a bit and was still throwing the ball all over the place and not to anybody that he should have been. So I'm hoping maybe that, again, somebody somewhere says, hey, listen, let's ease you back into this. And there was a comment earlier that's, said, something about the when I said it, simplify things. You're confusing simple with vanilla and predictable. They're completely two different things. When you make the job easier for Hurts, and using the running game is certainly one of those things you can do. Simplifying your routes, not necessarily making them predictable or vanilla, but doing the things that you do well. But anyway, I'm going to go Swift, and I'm going to go 23-20 Eagles, keeping my streak alive of calling Eagles victories all year. I know David, not with us here in spirit, off podcasting elsewhere separately. I'm just gonna assume he's calling for an Eagles victory too, just to keep his streak alive as well.
Yeah. By the way, before you guys go try to find David's solo podcast, totally a joke because he's sick. Hurts traveling separately from the team. David podcast, just didn't want anybody confused. DMing David while he's sick, being like, "What happened to Birds of the Round Table?" There's some frustration in the podcasting locker room. It's boiling over. Was he like shadowed, demoted to the booth? Like nothing weird going on here.
There's some shouting matches going on.
Not that if there was, we wouldn't say the same thing. So yeah, just tune in next week. You'll see he'll be back here with us. So maybe even hosting the show. We'll see what happens. So good stuff there. I'm going to go Hassan Reddick for my player of the game prediction. Evan Neal hasn't played since week 9. He's still questionable, but maybe trending to play. Evan Neal's just bad. He's been bad. That might be one of my worst, and I'm not going to write him off after his second season, which has been really injury riddled, but that might be one of my worst draft evals of all time if he doesn't turn this around. But I might get to finally stop talking about Paxton Lynch and start talking about Evan Neal when that question comes up in mailbags. But if he plays, Hassan Reddick should feast. And if he doesn't play, you're going against Tyre Phillips, who's not a good right tackle either. So I really think that you could see, and I'm just projecting here too a little bit, but you've got a quarterback that takes a lot of sacks. You got Hassan Reddick, needs a bounce back game, and Hassan Reddick's a really hot and cold player. And so if he can get going here, maybe that carries into the playoffs. So I'm going to go Hassan Reddick. I'll say the Eagles win this game. I'm going to go 21-20. Eagles win. We're going to be sitting on the edge of our seats the whole time.
Guys, Shane, we're going to actually get to watch John Michael Schmitz for the first time this week. And he was one of my guys last draft. So I'm excited to watch him in Thibodeau for sure.
Ben Solak catching some strays here. Research guy says that I could miss my next 10 draft projections and still have a better resume than Ben Solak. I'm just going to tell you, I definitely have my fair share of draft misses, but we talk about those. They're fun as long as they don't get drafted by the Eagles and become misses.
Sure.
Go to some comments here. Research guy also says, you guys are the best analysts with Philly Film Room online. By the way, yeah, if you guys want another place to get great Eagles content, go check out Philly Film Room. I tweeted links to a bunch of his videos, but he puts out like 10-minute scripted videos that are incredible stuff. Anthony says Giants. Giant. I shouldn't have put that on the screen. We're putting this bad stuff out there. Giants 24-21. Let's see. What's worse, Evan Neal terrible playing or the Eagles? Yeah. It's been bad all the way around. Is it Sirianni or Johnson that sucks? We talked about that at the beginning of the show. If you missed that, maybe as soon as we end here, skip back to the beginning. We had a little talk about the play calling and Hurts and how it's kind of all fits together because we just don't really know. Rob says Eagles win 30-14. He's saying that one with his chest. He's a little more confident. I got fooled last week. I put my chest into Eagles blowout victory, and that's when I thought Geno Smith was going to play. So I can't be doing that again.
No.
Would you bench Bradbury or move him to cover the slot and let the younger? Yeah, we talked about that a little bit as well earlier. I would put him in the slot and get the younger guys outside. Is Reich a possible workable Band-Aid? I say no. I don't think Reich's coming back through that door personally. What do you guys think?
Nah, I don't think so.
Not at this point.
Yeah. I think you pretty well have to ride with what got you here and hope that it works out. So, all right, that's going to about wrap it up for this episode of Birds at the Round Table. Comments are flying tonight. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, especially after such a tough loss last night. Rob says been miserable all day. Need to change it up. Guys, don't be miserable. It's just football.
It's fine.
This is what it's all about. Just having fun, chatting with buddies about the Birds. So at the end of the day, we're so incredibly happy that we get to do this because you guys are interested in tuning into it. So shout out to you guys. Regardless of if this team stinks, you guys are awesome and make this a lot of fun. So appreciate you tuning in. Let's throw it around the horn here. Dibes, final thoughts, plugs, anything you've got coming out. I know you've got a lot of draft stuff in the works. Plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, if you love the NFL draft, go check it out. I've been putting out individual scouting reports. Me and Ryan have been doing top 10 positional rankings on linebackers, edge rushers, cornerbacks. I'm sure I'm missing. Tomorrow we're doing our top 10 safety rankings. They're all live shows. Come join us, react with us. Scouting reports, graphics, projections, all that kind of fun stuff. And I'm on my way of creating my top 100 big board. We have scouted so many players in this draft. Go check that out. You can find it at Edge of Philly Sports on the YouTube channel. Just quick 4 or 5 minute, scouting reports on what they do well, what they don't do well. And I put their best plays, highlight reels of the season at the end of the scouting report as well. And right now, over the last few days, I've been doing a lot of tape watch on the Alabama Crimson Tide. So scouting reports coming on Terrion Arnold, unbelievable ball player. His tape just screams. Philadelphia Eagle, man. He's a fun one to watch. If he's available for the Eagles at the back end of round 1, you absolutely take him. And then other guys, Dallas Turner, Chris Broswell, Malachi Moore. And then I'm going to be also doing Johnny Newton this week. A really fun defensive tackle prospect out of Illinois. So I'm off school and I'm off work starting Friday. So I'll be pumping out probably about 3 videos a day. So go check that out.
All right. Be sure you check out Dive's stuff. His draft stuff is incredible. If you're not following him on Twitter, you are missing out. So go check him out at Mr. Crockpot. Ryan, what about you? What do you got coming out? What's going on in your neck of the woods? And also, are you frozen or sitting really still right now?
I am sitting very still. No, I am clearly frozen, but I can hear you.
And a ventriloquist apparently too.
Right. Yeah. Well, listen, I got some skills that people just don't know about. So, yeah, listen, yeah, we got lots of stuff coming out, especially over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, as far as draft content, as Dive said. So please make sure you head on over to Edge of Philly Sports, YouTube. Check out all the old videos. I'm telling you, if you want to get yourself involved and informed about this draft coming up, there's no better place. Honestly, there's no better place. So check that out. Check out some videos. Dive in, and just really have some fun. But yeah, tomorrow we're doing safeties. We're going to be doing we still have to do top 10 from Washington and from Texas. Yeah. So we're going to be doing those shows coming up. So certainly stay tuned for that. Oh, hey, I'm back. Man, I made it through the other side. So check that out. And then, of course, normal shows throughout the week, obviously, with Christmas coming up. Not anything happening on Monday, but we'll be back for Tuesday's edition for sure. And I'm just hoping everybody has a great Christmas holiday, however you celebrate. Just enjoy yourself, be safe, be happy. And there's another day in Eagles land. So we'll be all right. We'll be fine.
All right. Yeah. Be sure you are following Ryan's stuff. If you're on Facebook, go check out Philly Sports Alliance. Turn on notifications for their group. You get all of their shows, all of our shows, all the stuff in one place. So be sure you check that out. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Shane Half NFL. I should have all 22 pass game review coming out tomorrow. It's always weird with Monday games if I can manage to get that out on Wednesday, but I'll have it out Thursday, if not tomorrow. But I'm hoping I can get that done tomorrow. I'm also hoping I can do some stuff with like Keely Ringo, watching some of his snaps and stuff, but I'm not going to promise anything because it's a crazy week with the kids out of school for Christmas. So we'll see what we can get to. I always hit that wall this time of the year where it's like 3 months in, it's like, man, I'm almost tired of watching all 22 film all week, plus all holiday travel and stuff. It gets a little hard. But it's all good. And now it coincides with the Eagles dropping a few games. Shouldn't it be called all 21 since Quez?
Man, that was a burn.
Research guy off the top rope. Shouldn't it be called all 21 films since Quez Watkins is on the field?
Best comment of the day.
Best comment of the day. And man, on that note, we might as well get out of here. I'm not going to top that. I'm not going to say anything better than that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Man, I just enjoy doing this stuff. Even after a loss, it's fun hanging out with Dibes and Ryan, and it's fun hanging out with you guys. So thanks for letting us do that. We will catch you guys next week for another episode of Birds of the Round Table. Dare I say, a victory edition of Birds of the Round Table right after Christmas. We'll catch you guys next week.